All right.
What if I don't want my name to be live?
Oh, it doesn't matter if you don't want your name to be live.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Of course, we're always two, so it doesn't matter because nobody's here yet, even if they are going to be here.
Yeah, we'll give it a moment.
Yeah.
We
Say
have
hello to Ginger.
the dog, the sweetie Petey. Likes the meaty liquor Petey.
Yeah. Sorry, was driving, missed previous stream. That's okay. It'll be up.
Yeah, you can listen to it. It's gonna be a long one because we did all of chapter 3, so it's about an hour and a half. How's the sound coming through? Because we're using just the webcam since we're in the living room.
Yeah. Figures a little more laid back so we can enjoy ourselves.
This pupper here is Ginger. Need to actually say her name properly. She's a sweetie. She's 12 years old, or will be 12 this summer. So
German grapefruit beer.
yeah, show that off. It's a Schaffenhofer. Let me see how it's spelled. Yeah, Schofferhofer.
Schofferhofer.
Actually, is it Schufer? Because it's got an umlaut over the O.
Schufer.
Schofferhofer. Okay.
I've always seen the umlaut says it's almost like you're about to pronounce an R, but you just don't quite get there.
I got you.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we thought we'd do a little bit of a change of pace for the after show instead of being cooped up in the office. Actually, hang out here. Actually do a hangout.
Wait, am I doing this Tim's rules or your rules?
I don't care.
Okay.
If you want to drink from the can, I'll toast to that. Thanks for tuning in, y'all.
It's a very classic style that you would actually take the beer from the can and pour it into a glass before drinking it. That went out of fashion in World War II when the soldiers in Germany couldn't find many glasses and they still had canned beer that they would come across, so they would just drink it straight from the can.
Yeah, well, and truth be told, it is kind of a cultural thing. The idea of drinking straight from the vessel, something you wouldn't drink wine from a barrel, you wouldn't drink wine straight from a bottle. You wouldn't drink liquor straight from the bottle unless you're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So it was a civilization sort of a thing. But think about World War I and World War II. World War I and World War II was the breakdown of aristocracy and the civilized.
Yeah.
That really kind of started with the French Revolution.
Yeah.
Because think about that. That was shucking off civilized world. I mean, they were beheading. They were putting statues into the guillotine. It was pure debauchery, the French Revolution.
Yeah.
So that's something that not a lot of people know about.
The French are good at doing two things. First, creating things, and second, ruining them.
That's true.
Think about this. Did you know that the French were actually the people to create automobiles?
I did know that.
Yeah. Did you also know that they created front-wheel drive?
I did not know that.
So they created something, and then they ruined it.
Oh, man. So what do you think? Do you like that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently drinking, we started out with beer, but I'm currently drinking a nice white wine, an inexpensive white wine. It's a Pinot Grigio, which is also known as the Pinot Gris grape. Pinot Grigio is just that grape grown in Italy. It's the exact same thing. Yeah. There's very few differences. It's just the soil that it's grown in. So it's just like in America when people buy Zinfandels, it's always a pink, a white Zinfandel that's kind of pinkish in hue. Yeah. It's not really a Zinfandel. A true Zinfandel is supposed to be a dark red.
It was interesting. You could be for or against it, whatever. In the game Star Citizen, one of the little things you can find in the little city area they have is a bar menu. Mm-hmm. And on the bar menu, an old fashioned cost something like $7,000 or $8,000 because it uses actual bourbon whiskey from Kentucky. Yeah. And this is set in the far, far future, right, in space. So importing Kentucky whiskey is horribly expensive.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We take it for granted here. Bourbon's pretty cheap.
Oh, yeah.
But you go other places in the world, a bottle of Jack Daniel's somewhere else, which Jack Daniel's, it's not technically a bourbon, even though it's the same process. They call it a Tennessee whiskey. Yeah. You go elsewhere and a cheap bottle of that will run you $60, $70.
Yeah. Also, a lot of times as well because they import Irish.
Yeah.
Because Irish whiskey, it was at one time the liquor. You didn't drink anything. It was just Irish whiskey. Yeah. How many breweries did there used to be in Ireland?
Distilleries.
Sorry, distilleries in Ireland?
I don't know.
There was some grand amount, several dozen, and they're down to like 3.
Well, why do you think they had the potato famine?
Yeah.
You were using them all to make booze.
I don't like corn.
That is one of the major differences with different whiskeys, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, it's been a while since we've done a hangout. It's been a while since we've really done any other content than just the Foally of Man.
Yeah.
It's just getting busier these days. I know you've had.
Well,
you've been working overtime this week like crazy.
This week, I actually had 2 days where I worked 17 hours. I didn't clock myself. I actually worked 17 hours Tuesday and Thursday. So I worked.
That's ridiculous.
No.
Is it understaffing or is it overutilization?
No. There was a project that needed to get done. Mm-hmm. And my boss, it was not only for my boss, it was for his boss and his boss.
Well, thank you, Why Did 666. I appreciate you hanging out with us. Wish you could be here to lift a glass of whatever your favorite beverage is, whether that be alcoholic or non-alcoholic.
Nuts to that. I want to be where he is. Mustard glaze.
Hey, don't forget, so y'all can't smell this due to smell-o-vision, but in the oven right now, I have a classic Sunday beef roast with potatoes and carrots and mushrooms and celery, slow cooking with onions.
I was going to say that project, it got down to the wire. It needed to be done by Friday. It was literally Thursday afternoon we finished everything up. And my boss kind of understood exactly that it was, not that it was unacceptable, it's just that it's less than ideal. And so he wasn't really frustrated with me at that point and kind of understood. It doesn't help that I had to go halfway across the county to finish everything.
Yeah. Well, at least you got it done.
Yeah.
Hopefully they like the results.
Hopefully. I haven't heard back from it because I wasn't there for the meeting.
Yeah. So do you like that beer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Good. And the thing about it is you can drink a bunch of them because they're small and they're only 2.5%, but it's a perfect summer beer. You know, it's really hot. You just want something
very light. It's very flavorful, very
it's
light.
It's Hefeweizens in it. You know, it's a wheat beer. It's very light, not heavily hopped, but it's real beer. You know, people say, oh, grapefruit must be
colored with beta carotene. I only want Chad alpha carotene.
I want omega carotene, the last carotene. Filthy soy boy beta carotene.
I wasn't going to go that far.
Why did 666? Yeah, those ribs sound real good.
Oh, yeah.
Are they pork ribs or beef ribs? And now we'll have to wait a couple of minutes to see the response.
Yeah.
Because that's how this works.
Well, I mean, in fairness, that's, you know.
So really part of the question is what are we going to do when we finish the Foally of Man?
I mean, there's a few options for us, but it's what we want to do first.
Well, honestly, I want to do more random frequency. I think we got a good response from that. And, you know, Smilith was asking for more of those. He or she really seemed to like those. I mean, I kind of like, not that I don't enjoy talking about ponies, but I kind of like when you and I can talk about other stuff.
Yeah.
We always, you know, we really do try and steer away from the political. Because if you're going to hang out with us, you probably don't want to be reminded of the same crap you're dealing with every day.
Yeah.
I mean, is that right?
I mean, as well, it's we live in a, like you say, we live in a society where it seems to be creeping into more and more things. Politics and movies and music, games, and
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And so it's kind of unavoidable.
even the new Far Cry is heavily based on the last election.
Yeah. And it's
sorry.
At least I think it, and I haven't played it. I know there was a massive political slant about it. Like there's a whole bunch of people talking about it politically, but I don't know.
It's just, I think it's so polarizing. I mean, obviously you and I have political ideas and we have beliefs that we have.
No, man, I don't believe anything.
No, yeah, oh, great, a nihilist. Fuck. Yeah, we could talk about nihilism all day. But anyways.
No, we can't, because then it's not nihilism. It's just sardonic hedonism.
Why did 666 says pork side, adding white wine, now listening to you talk about booze. Yeah, a little white wine, man, that's some good stuff.
U.S. Civil War 2.0 win?
Again, we're not going to get political, but I do worry about people being so polarized. You know, when we talk about Facebook and Twitter and social media, which dominates people's lives, we tune out people we disagree with, or I would say, I'm speaking of the plural we.
Oh yeah, opposing ideas or opinions. And the problem with that is not, because when people say that, they'll put it under the guise of, you should expose yourself to alternate opinions because you need to be more aware. That's not really it. What it is
alternate facts.
what you need to be exposed to is the idea that you have to get along with people who disagree with you. So you shouldn't be so I know I shouldn't say you shouldn't be so invested, but you shouldn't be so ready to jump and dive straight to a to political discourse.
Yeah.
It means you're just going to get into upsetting conversation.
I just realized if we are going to talk about booze, did we lose our focus? Oh, there it is. Huh. Autofocus, cool.
Yeah.
If we are going to talk about booze, there are a couple things.
It's a really nice one. It was rated as the best webcam last year.
That's awesome. It was a good acquisition on your part. And it's nice because, we don't have to worry about different frame rates and such. I mean, it seems to be really high quality and pretty good color. I do want to represent a really cool distillery that's in our area. I think everybody knows we're in North Carolina because we've mentioned it before. But Fair Game Beverage Company makes an apple brandy that's really, really good. And for those of you who don't know what apple brandy is, essentially it's apple wine that you distill and age. But it's quite tasty. I mean, obviously there's a little bit of apple to it, but otherwise it's just booze. I mean, it doesn't taste like apple pie or apple pie moonshine, but that's pretty good. And then the other favorite of Chris and I's, this is what we were drinking before and even after my wedding.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Jim Beam Devil's Cut, which is made from, they take bourbon that's left over in the bourbon barrels, and they squeeze it out. No, it's not only that. They obviously blend it because that would just taste like fire. That's nice. Well, I should say I don't make any money off of these people, but they make a good product. So if you see it,
it would be called a blended malt whiskey, right? Then
malt,
because the malt is what's left over afterwards.
No, it wouldn't be a malt whiskey. No, malt. When you use malt in terms of distilling and brewing, you're talking about redistilling something that's left over or re-fermenting something that's left over. So you have to be very careful saying malted beverage. So
I'll call it what I want because I'm not selling it.
I will tell you, I like that Whited 666 is making pork ribs because pork ribs are my favorite. If you'll excuse me, I don't think the dog's going to get back up on.
So it'll be fine.
Lift your ass. I'm trying to pull the blankets off.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, she's tired. She was almost oozing off. Now she's going to come over and complain a little bit because she wants to get back up, and then except she won't.
Here, I'll be back. You talk amongst yourselves. Here, let's go take you to your mama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, but to answer your question, U.S. Civil War 2.0 win, it won't happen. It won't happen. Nobody's prepared to take that dive anyway. Everybody's just very interested in their own.
Not to mention it would be
ideas.
a shit show.
It would be a shit show. It would end very quickly, because I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's probably some divergence in the military, but I don't see enough to where they would start infighting and not just immediately try to restore peace or order.
The other thing I was going to say, you don't want the military running things.
No.
That's the worst case.
Well, that's the only way you would end up with a civil war is if the military went to war with itself.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it's not a civil war if the military has taken a complete side. It's just slaughter.
It's funny. People talk about the American Civil War. Is it like they have no point of reference for it, or a European point of reference for it? But there's tons of European points of reference for it. And I'll show you the example with the United Kingdom. Think about how the Scotch talk about the English, or the Welsh talk about the English, or the Irish talk about the English, or the French talk about the English. You know what I mean?
To be fair, the French aren't in the Great British Isle or the British Isles, but yes.
Might as well be.
True.
They've been conquered enough by other peoples. They've needed Britain to pull their ass out of the fire enough times.
Yeah.
The other thing to consider too. Oh, we got a question.
Was just trolling. Oh, trolling. You guys said no politics. Oh, okay.
Well, it worked. But to that note, you think about Germany. Germany did not exist as a country until the end of the 19th century, when the Kaiser took control.
Yeah, because before then it was
principalities.
It was the Prussian Empire.
Well, part of it was. Not all of modern day Germany.
Oh no, I didn't mean
all.
Then
think about it. Post World War II, Germany gets broken into two countries.
Yeah.
A unified Germany didn't really happen until 1990.
Yeah. And
so when we talk about a German identity,
I was talking to a German about this, and I was talking about the influence that the Prussian Empire had, where effectively Nazism and what ended up being the Russian communism
Under pressure. Dun, 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 dun,
was actually like the left and right parties in Prussia taken to the extreme. Apparently, I don't know much about it.
Then we supported the South.
Well, because it created instability. So as a Canadian, here's another thing too. We're both Southerners. We're born in the South. Obviously, we love the country. We love a unified country. And people don't seem to understand historically that slavery gets drummed up as the cause of the war, but there was really a lot more going on.
It wouldn't have been the conflict wouldn't have happened if it had just been that. It would not have happened because
Well,
you had a
quite
lot of
frankly-
poor. You had a lot of poor areas joining in when they would have had no beef.
Well, for instance, North Carolina didn't have a ton of slaves. There were very few slave owners in North Carolina because North Carolina was a poor state.
Mhm.
North Carolina was the last state to join the Confederacy. But anyways, that's beside the point. Really what it broke down to was a lot of taxation without representation. There was a lot of power in the northeastern states.
There was a lot
And
of
there
cultural
was
problems.
a lot of agricultural taxes. The other thing is, too, slavery was on its way out. Obviously, the war ended it quickly,
Oh yeah.
but within 50 years' time, it would have been phased out. The other thing is that the North maintained slaves during the war.
Yeah.
There were still slaves in the North. There were still slave owners in the North who were exempted. So
No, it's a massive cultural thing. One thing that really helped cause it as well is the delay of communication.
yeah,
If there had been, like we have now, a greater instant communication between northern and southern areas, it wouldn't have happened.
the other thing that happened with the war is that there was a difference in tactics. If Robert E. Lee had marched on D.C. and burnt it to the ground, the same way that Sherman had destroyed Atlanta and everything to the ocean,
Yeah,
it would have been different.
it would have been different.
But it would not have been better. The country is better to have been unified.
Oh yeah, a George divided against itself cannot stand.
But anyways, we don't need
To bring it back to the great philosophy. You know, I had my ex was convinced that Seinfeld did not identify a generation.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can you possibly believe that?
Yeah.
And she was like, no, there's no way. There's no way that Seinfeld can identify a generation. And I'm like,
It is interesting that you'd say that that Europe was pressuring the U.S. to end slavery, considering the Dutch were making money hand over fist selling slaves, and they still charge a colonial tax to African countries to this day.
I'm really not going to do that sneeze where I say apartheid and then try to hide it off.
Right.
But yeah.
What's the funny thing about the Europeans? They'll say one thing, but still demand money from Africans. It's kind of disgusting.
That's because they're not.
Isn't it nice that the United States wasn't involved in African imperialism, just Middle Eastern imperialism?
Oh boy. Okay, can we get off? I was trying to bring it into Seinfeld. I was really trying to bring it into politics. Because the problem is inevitably you have to treat a group as a collection of individuals, and individuals are going to have different motivations. They're going to act differently. So whenever you talk about politics, you're always going to, and even subconsciously, it's not like it's a willful thing. For some people, it is a willful thing. Holy crap! But you're going to try to paint the representation of that group as the members who embody the part of it that you want to attack. So when you attack a religion, for instance, you find the people who are the most violent, caustic, toxic individuals, and you say, that's the religion. When you want to attack somebody who is a part of a political party, you'll find the most, you go to like the left in the US and you look, oh, there's Antifa. That's representation of the left. Or you go to the right and you say, what was the name of that? Charlottesville. That's the right. And no, it's not a majority of them, but a lot of people use that as an explanation.
The vocal minority always gets the attention.
Yeah, and it's a sad thing.
And we will move on from this because this is not a political podcast. It's another political thing. You don't need to.
Oh, check out my modern Seinfeld on Twitter.
Yeah, a Twitcher.
Twitcher.
Do we
Okay.
need to get your eyes checked again?
Maybe. And these glasses are old.
I know. Like $50, we can go to Walmart and get your eyes tested.
Yeah.
Although I know, like, it brings you great pain to cross the threshold of a Walmart.
Oh God, I used to work for them, and it's one of the worst companies that exists. Yeah, they don't do anything good for anyone ever. Nothing that they have ever done has done so
Okay.
for the benefit of mankind.
So I will tell you something they did good for me. Their return policy is great. When the air conditioning went out in my house and it was 100 degrees in the house, I drove to Walmart 15 minutes down the road and got a window air conditioning unit that I used until they fixed my HVAC, and then I returned it.
Yeah, because their managers are pussies.
What do you mean? It's part of their policy.
No, I mean, like, if you will yell hard enough, you can return anything you want. They will return anything.
Yeah.
They'll return movies, software, doesn't matter. They'll return it.
Oh, he did mean Twitter.
Yeah, on phone autocorrect. I didn't know. I figured it was Twitter. And
I should follow that on. I should have I should have Crisco follow Modern Seinfeld.
Oh boy,
You know, it's funny. Like, I'm just not a Twitter guy. Like, I do some Twitter stuff because it's funny.
That's healthy.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I'm not into it.
And this is not political. I'm actually not going into politics here. Anyone who is very heavily interested and spends a lot of time on Twitter
Is a cuckold. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you ruined my point entirely.
I'm sorry.
No, anyone who's on Twitter a lot, it just ruins you. It's like it doesn't matter what you are, what you believe, whether it's about chess moves, whether it's about how to paint model airplanes, whether it's about building model airplanes. Somehow, if you invest a majority of your time in Twitter, it's somehow like it causes you to just, I don't know what it is, but it causes people to just turn into weird reflections of themselves. It's like if you just get off Twitter, if you just leave Twitter, you go back to normal. But while you're stuck on there, because we know a guy who
Here's the guy.
We know a guy who we don't drink around him anymore for that reason. Because, like, I swear he's probably on Twitter all the time. That's probably why.
No, I know who you're talking about.
And
he drinks and he gets worked up, and then it's
he will literally go to the nth degree on whatever topic it is, go to extreme, and then start arguing.
He goes to 11. Basically.
Yeah, it's
we were having a conversation about education, and it's like you pigeonhole someone in a conversation, and then they get pissed off.
Yeah,
and it's like, but that argument doesn't make any sense.
Rage.
Well, and it's like what it boiled down to was what he was saying versus what he was doing in his own life.
Yeah,
that was the dichotomy.
Hypocritical.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, people are totally hypocrites.
Totally forgot you guys had an after show as well.
You didn't forget. We've been forgetting. Honestly, we've been forgetting because we're just so crunched for time. So I know I've told y'all before.
Running negative site, which is going down eventually, hopefully so.
Yeah.
It's not good for anyone.
Okay, so the last political thing I will say, Jack Dorsey came out and supported an article that calls for a second civil war in the United States.
Did it also include that he was wanting a single party system in the U.S.?
Yes, yeah, that's what it was. That he wants to literally like murder millions of people that disagree. So that, yeah, Twitter's on the downslope. But Wason. The other thing is with this, my wife and I are expecting our first child at the beginning of June. And so when Chris comes over and he and I record, we've basically been like, we'll record and eat or eat and record, and then basically don't have time to do anything else because my wife and I have to do more stuff on the house, do stuff to the nursery, just try and stay on top of things. I mean, I hate that that's the excuse, but we've just been having some.
I hope everything will go right with the baby.
Thank you.
I do too.
Thank you,
really
buddy.
do too.
I'll give y'all an update. I mean, everything's been fine. Bree has had a typical pregnancy. She was really good. She didn't have any morning sickness, which is nutso.
And again, that's a very individual thing.
Yep.
Some people have it, some people don't.
Supposedly, you're less likely to have it with a boy. We are having a boy. He's big. I mean, he's ahead of schedule actually, so he may get here sooner.
If you'd seen this guy when he was younger, yeah, you'll know.
Yeah, I was chub lord. And I actually, that sounds awful. I was also a big baby.
Chode lord.
In my family, so I was 9 pounds when I was born. But that's actually kind of small for my family. Most people in my family were 10-pound plus babies.
Wasn't your dad a giant baby?
No, dad was pretty normal. But my mom's side,
that's his brother.
So,
hey,
my mom's side of the family are all German, and they're all huge babies.
But don't worry, German pre-Nazi. They got here in the 18th century. So. Which is funny to call them German because it really wasn't Germany at the time. I mean, they were German descendant.
Yeah. Some of that's really interesting, and then some of it's like,
My mom's side of the family who are German, though, the last name was Heil. Yes, Heil. But it was Americanized. It was changed to HILE, which is funny. So
let's see. Anyway, I'm currently chatting with people on videos which people whom are misusing words as enabling and giving redacted a platform. Oh boy. I don't know if you were here for our political discussion just a second ago, but
I mean, it really wasn't political. I mean, it's political.
Well, no, it was medical. It was a medical discussion.
Yeah, it was political for the 19th century. We were discussing the American Civil War.
Yeah.
No,
I'm talking about like a meta politics discussion, but yeah.
That's one of the things. Like we've mentioned it before. We want this show to be a respite from that kind of stuff because there's politics everywhere.
Yeah.
So.
At some point, even people who I know who are really hardcore into it, they have to take some time and breathe and walk away, and just like go sit down with a book and read some kind of fantasy novel. I guess that's your oven.
It's okay.
Okay.
That's the nice thing about a beef roast. The longer you cook it, the more it's just falling apart. Delicious. I know. It's going to be so good. I love a Sunday roast, and I rarely get to have one. And this sounds so stupid. I drove by the grocery store, and I saw a big sign that said, Chuck roast, $2.99 a pound. And I was like, sold.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
And good for you.
Yeah, it's easy. So,
hold on. Let me give the short story of why I'm doing this. I'm currently following a group of bronies doing a homebrew D&D campaign. About 40 parts in, came out that one of the players are. Okay.
Oh,
wait for the
cliffhanger, Wason.
Dun dun dun. Is actually a mimic. It was actually one of the chairs.
The mimic as a wall.
The mimic was the entire town.
Oh,
Everybody's heard that one by now, I guarantee it.
Oh, God.
Where it's just like 7 mimics, and they're all just making up this town that all the people are playing in.
We both love D&D, by the way. I know we've mentioned that on the show before.
I haven't played as much of it as I'd really hoped to.
Well, the group we had together in person hasn't played in 6 months.
There was a time when it was feasible to get like 8 people together to play a campaign. This is not that time.
Yeah.
Don't try to do it. It will fail miserably.
I just tell you, honestly, I enjoy being around a table with people, but once you go Roll20, which is it's an app that you use, or it's a website that you use to play D&D, it's really hard to go back.
It's a lot more organized. It allows you to quickly switch over.
About 40 parts into it came out that one of the players was a pedophile, and thus it created a problem. Another person have had some beef with the DM ever since 2016 when he decided to end his friendship with her. Now this person's sending all.
Stream is buffering.
Oh crap.
Well, we'll see. No, this won't be the same problem we had before.
You don't think so?
No, because I think the problem before was just because he said the stream is buffering.
I mean, we're still live.
Yeah, and he said the stream is buffering. Ergo, we're getting connectivity from somebody.
Yeah. Well, it just means y'all will catch up to us at some point.
Yeah. I guess we'll just let Wason finish and then go over the whole thing.
Kind of hard to find out you have a pedophile in your midst.
Yeah.
That's one of those things we've talked about before. It's socially unacceptable.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to deal with. Intermittent. Yeah. I'm sorry about that. Hey, we'll be bully hunters for a second.
Oh God!
Have cutouts in the stream every like 2 minutes.
Now the bully hunters are going in. Felt like Who's a Millionaire?
Yeah.
Who wants to be a millionaire?
This is done. I think that's the end of it. Her watches to dogpiling, mass disliking, and mass flagging because they are enabling someone in the videos, even though it's a 3-month pre-recorded videos. Okay. I think I get that. Another person has had a beef with the DM with the pedophile. Now does this person sending all our watches dogpiling, mass disliking, mass flagging? Yeah, I mean that is the nature of the internet. I mean, from a top-down perspective of what you're saying, somebody disagreeing with something and then using the internet as a tool to dogpile something, that's the internet. That's just going to happen. As far as the pedophilia thing goes, I can't make a judgment call on that.
I'm just going to stick my neck out here and say that as the Foally of Man and Crisco Industries, we're against pedophilia in all forms.
Pederasty, yes, and pedophilia.
Yeah.
Pederasty is the action.
Yes, no, I understand.
Yeah. I remember reading or hearing, person that sends the people are the only one having a beef with DM, not the pedophile. Yeah, I got that. I remember hearing from a psychologist about it. It's like this. It's such a weird topic to handle. It is a weird topic to handle, because it's like you have somebody who's never going to find any type of fulfillment in their fantasies, and they can't. They cannot, because it will absolutely ruin people.
Last Place says something interesting. You put yourself on the public theater, it puts you under the public microscope.
True. That's very true. It's actually one of the reasons why we hesitate sometimes to talk about. I mean, I know we've been really opaque in some ways, but like we don't start the show with our full names. Now, anybody who pays attention, or listens to my other show, you know my full name. You could look me up. You could find everything out about me. You're more than welcome to. But you're right. It puts you under scrutiny.
Yeah. Does the name? No, I don't recognize that.
That name doesn't mean anything to me. It'd mean more to you because he said it's a group of bronies.
I don't follow a lot of brony stuff anymore.
Wow.
Oh wait, is that no? I was going to say, is that I like Kim Possible a lot, because I remember there was that whole massive problem where allegedly she was abusing her staff or something. I don't know. I remember hearing something about that.
We were talking before about us having a baby. I cannot wait to actually be sitting here and have my baby with me. Isn't that going to be kind of cool?
Yeah.
I mean, as long as he's not crying.
Yeah.
As long as
that will be, because unfortunately the pitch at which a child cries is
pretty light, pretty high decibels.
Well, it's pretty high decibels, but the thing is that your ears are actually attuned to pick up that frequency range higher than any other noise. Mm-hmm. That's the reason it's really hard to tune out a baby crying.
It's designed to get your attention.
Yeah.
Also, their faces are designed to make people want to care for them.
Yep.
Yeah, big eyes, soft features.
We know what you're up to, children. Your trick's not going to work on us.
Why did 666? That's what I like about K-Cat. I don't really know anything about her, or even if she really is her. I can only judge the fan fiction based on the work.
Yeah, I mean,
well, and she's very. I mean, y'all know she's a part of this show in a way. Well, she's not a part of the show, but she makes herself a part of the chat and the communication.
Yeah.
And she
does make herself a part of the community.
I was going to say, she's given us a heads up on certain chapters of like, this is how she'd like it broken up. I mean, y'all know that. We mentioned that when we bring it up on the show.
I feel like there's a
but I mean, she's never lended her voice. Anytime you and I've chatted with her, I mean, it's just
no, she did, like we only know what anyone else knows.
Yeah, we don't know anything about her.
Yeah, because we even talked to her about doing something, popping on the Prey video, and she's like, I can do it as long as it's only text. And I was like,
which was one hell of a challenge.
But we did it. And I still failed it completely, and I made myself look like a dumb fool. By the way,
the D&D campaign is amazing.
I feel I'd watch more people play D&D, but it just makes me sad that I can't play it myself. So I'm not.
Well, here's the deal. I need to get him more involved. I have a group I play with every single week. We always play on Tuesday nights, and I love it. And I've played 3.5. I've played First Edition. I played Dungeons and Dragons Advanced, and now I'm on 5th. And I really don't want to play anything else.
Yeah,
like I love 5th Edition.
I was gonna say, why did 666? Even if I learned K-Cat had leanings or ideas that I didn't agree with, I would not in any way feel that it depreciated from her work.
Well, we didn't talk about it on this episode. We were introduced to another gay character.
Which one? Who was that?
Well, so we've got Life Bloom, who's gay. We find out that one of Calamity's siblings is gay.
Yeah.
We've got Amaj and we've got Little Pip. And there was, crap. What was the new one? I'm blanking on it. They seem a little bit overrepresented in the story.
We've already covered the fact that they're represented very heavily in fan fictions anyway.
Yeah.
My healer jumped from my D&D 3.5 group. You're free to join.
Oh, so healers in 3.5, little less fun to play in 5th edition, because in 5th edition I play a life cleric. Awesome. The life cleric is the best class for healing. Although you had a bard who was one hell of a healer.
Yeah.
You just have to roll well.
Yeah, well, you have to roll well.
His charisma was a 20.
Yeah.
And that's your casting, which is ridiculous. How do you roll that's just ridiculous.
I was going to say, it comes down to kind of a principled approach when it comes to when you see somebody, okay, and you appreciate things they've done, and you look at them and you see that you don't like something about them that isn't related to that work, it's something else. There are people who are going to hate what they've done because of that other thing. Or they're going to be people who say, I don't really care. I appreciate this thing. I appreciate them for this thing. I don't appreciate them for the other thing, but that doesn't mean that I hate them for it. And it's kind of, like I said, it's a principled approach, and not many people have that. I love H.P. Lovecraft, but Shadow over Innsmouth is different when you understand the fish people are representing poles watering down good wasp.
White Anglo-Saxon and Protestant. So I think why did 666 invitation is more for you?
Yeah, I know. He was inviting me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would like to, sure, but I don't think I have time.
You have a 3.5 dungeon manual, don't you?
I do. However,
I was gonna say, if you don't, you can have mine.
Yeah. However, still, it's a timing issue. That
is true. So Chris works nights. He works from 5 to 2 in the morning every night.
So,
which means you basically don't get to do anything.
No, I don't get to do
anything.
I'll
be like, hey, we're getting together a Scotch and Scripture group, or hey, we're going out to see a concert, and you're like, I'm working.
Yeah, every week.
That's another thing that really hurts the show, because like you and I would love to get together in the evenings and like play a game together, but that's when you're working.
Yeah.
And it's the one time a day that I have free, because I work from like 8 to 8 every day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as well, we're all using pirated PDFs. Well, that's the correct way to do it now, ever since Wizards of the Coast went nutso.
Don't you have, like, everything?
Yeah.
Legally, of course.
Legally. But Wizards of the Coast apparently went nuts lately.
I don't blame them. They're not making any money.
Yeah.
The other thing is too, like I remember I went to Barnes and Noble because I was in a pinch. I needed to buy the new Dungeons and Dragons book, and it was like $55.
Yeah.
And then I looked on Amazon and it was $25, and I said, well, that's an easy choice.
Yes, I actually have the actual manual for 5th edition just because I got it from Amazon.
Yeah, Roll20 does have the compendium, Wason. The only problem is that there are certain spells that aren't pre-programmed into the game. I don't know why. They're just missing.
They're just probably because Wizards of the Coast is this weird thing where they'll file DMCAs on specific things. Like there was a Orc Pub. Orc Pub was
that pissed me off so bad.
Where
I used it to create characters.
Yeah, it was really smart. It really helped with character creation because it can, for somebody starting out, it can be really daunting where the numbers go and what
can you do. And Orc Pub, literally, it's like questions. It's like, okay, do you want this or this? Okay, you're doing this. Do you want this or this?
It means you can have this, so here you go. Remember, you have this, but you can still also get this. Do you want?
So if you ever wonder how many spells do I get to pick as a first level caster, it just okay. What do I get to do as a 5th level caster? Here's the things you can choose from.
Okay, does it mean that when I get this item and I get it again that I have 2 of them or just 1? And if I'm proficient with this, but I have double proficiency, is that it helps answer a lot of that.
It was Smogon for Pokemon, essentially. Yeah. And what's great too is that as you up-leveled your character on the table, you could go back to Orc Pub and up-level your character there.
Yeah.
And then just print a new character sheet.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, and Wizards of the Coast doesn't have a tool that matches that. They claim that they do, but it doesn't, because you have to buy shit at every single level.
Yeah. And you have to do all the calculations yourself.
And I get why they do it, because once you buy the book, theoretically, you don't need them anymore.
Yeah. And they want to be part of it.
Well, they want to make money.
Yeah. Wizards of the West Coast is what I'm saying.
But here's the deal. Like, let's say you made the book $100, people wouldn't buy it.
Nope.
That's the point. It's a $30 book that grants you hours and hours of gaming.
Yeah. The whole advantage is the fact that you don't need shit. It's like the reason that soccer is so popular around the world is you only need
equipment is a ball and somewhere that you call a goal.
Yeah, I mean it's just a ball. That's all you need, a ball, and you can even do it on unflat land if you really are hard pressed.
Yeah.
Ain't that the typical stuff gets mainstream? Well, yes.
Here's the
normies
deal.
ruin everything.
As a Dungeons and Dragons fan, let's just be glad that they still make the damn thing and care. I mean, it's a profit model.
Yeah, no, I will agree with that. 5th edition could have gone to shit, but apparently, according to everyone else, I've played a little bit of it. I do like it. Apparently, to everybody else, it wasn't a complete and total bomb, and it was actually pretty good. So.
Oh, you played 40K, yeah.
You don't talk about an expensive game. You only choose to buy the figurines. You don't have to. You want to. That's voluntary. That's different.
That game is so complicated. You have 3 sheets for like every character on the field.
Mech Warrior, what?
Yeah. The other thing is.
Hold on, let me calculate my regional heat dissipation.
I mean, it could be worse. You could play the Star Wars tabletop game.
Yeah. Risk.
Isn't it Rogue X-Wing?
No. I remember the name of it, but it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. You could spend a lot of money on that. Oh, here's my 20-to-1 scale.
I actually know somebody who's a big 40K fan, and he used to be in Tau, and now he's in, I think, Sisters of the whatever.
Somebody who owns every amiibo. That's crazy. I have a Switch, and I don't have any amiibos because I didn't have a Wii U.
I mean, here's the deal. I'll give it to Nintendo. You create a cool figurine that actually has usability. That's a cool idea. Here's a collectible that actually has purpose.
Yeah, it's a shame that was never done before. Ever.
Anyways.
Isn't 40K the game where everyone is just different flavor of bad guy? Yes. And I agree. It kind of is. Well, it's supposed to be, the whole idea is when humanity moves into the stars, we realize very quickly that we can't survive in our current term, and we have to turn to pretty much extreme fascism, almost religious fanaticism, and in some cases, extreme religious fanaticism, apparently.
The only real figurine game that you and I played was Mage Knights.
Yeah, and that ended up getting really stupid when I kept not getting any damn thing when we got the little booster packs.
Well, you'd save up money. You drop $20 on a big pack, and then you get, it's a luck of the draw.
And you get nothing. And I never got anything new. You understood after a while when it took me forever to get anything.
Yeah. Well, and I bought 2, and I got 2 of the most powerful dragons in the game, one right after the other.
I had one of the most powerful dragons from the old version, but it didn't work because you can't use the old version with the new one. Too bad.
Yeah, it's good that they're getting ported. I love my Switch, but they need some more titles. I know they announced Smash Brothers, but of course they're going to have another Smash Brothers. I'm not a Splatoon player, so that doesn't really excite me. Supposedly there's a new Donkey Kong coming out that's supposed to be good.
Well, a lot of this is the thing. When they switched over from the Wii and the Wii U over to the Switch, they switched from AMD's video card set to NVIDIA. And I guarantee you that NVIDIA has taken a move in and pretty much has their own office corner in Nintendo to guarantee the visual fidelity of their games. That's the reason that Mario Galaxy looks so good, is because NVIDIA was holding their hand and giving them every single GameWorks tip and probably lending a few really high-end developers over to guarantee the quality. Because it not only stands as good for Nintendo, it stands as good for NVIDIA for that move to work well. So, and NVIDIA is unfortunately the same way with any company that gets to the apex. When they dominate the market, they start realizing, shit, we have to grow somehow. And so they start having to branch out and start doing different stuff. And a lot of people have been really pissed off because NVIDIA has done some stuff which have made them mad.
Yeah.
One of the things was NVIDIA hasn't released any kind of documentation on their drivers so that people can make open source drivers, where AMD has. And that means that the Linux crowd can compile their own AMD drivers for all the AMD processors. But they have to wait for NVIDIA to decide that Linux is worth it to release drivers.
Right.
And the way that NVIDIA does business, it makes perfect sense. But that's the reason that people don't like NVIDIA is because they look at it and they're like, well, that's really shitty behavior. And it's like, it doesn't go outside their MO. It's not like they're shaking your hand and shaking with your hand with one hand and then stabbing you in the back with the other. It perfectly goes along with who they are. So let's get a game that took place in 40K universe where you play as a Tau. I have to say that the human ships are like dark castles.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about that universe.
It's just a little bit over the topism and constant one-up over the topism a little bit.
Yeah.
Where they describe the size of like the Space Hulk and all the other ships as being so massive, it's like, what the hell are they made out of? Because a Star Destroyer, if made out of steel, would fold in on itself.
Yeah.
It could not actually move without destroying itself. It has to be made out of some kind of other material. And for something to be like 100 times the length of it and go like twice as fast, it's like, no, it would just instantly.
Yeah.
And there's no big red button, and they don't paint it red to make it go fast. Which apparent. I like I said, I know a guy who's really into 40K, and so he keeps talking about all this 40K stuff because apparently all the orcs paint everything red because red is supposed to be faster.
Yep, just paint flames on the side of it. That'll make it go fast.
And well, the orcs aren't supposed to be very smart. They're orcs.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. As far as other tabletops, I haven't played many tabletops. The only Mech Warriors I've ever actually played were the PC games, and I don't think I would enjoy the tabletops as much as I've enjoyed the PC games, because the difference in approach for the tabletop is you are a fleet commander managing everything, and you have to calculate, like I said, your own heat dissipation and everything else. The numbering is easy. They do number everything to where everything is like this times 10 times like 0.75 or something. So it's really easy math, but it's got to take forever.
Yeah.
With something that should take less than a minute takes 20 or 30. And I'm like, I'm out. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, an Atlas taking down a Jenner should not take more than a couple seconds, if we're honest. Just leg him. The red ones go faster. You get. Yeah. You get.
Well, I think this is probably a good place to call it. We've got a 50-minute long after show. It's the after show that just keeps going and going. So thank you to Wason and Last Place and Why Did 666. Thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for contributing, and thanks as always for supporting the show. Greatly appreciate it. Do let us know some ideas of where you'd like for us to go once the Foally of Man comes to a close, what maybe a Foally of Man Season 2 looks like, or what kind of things you would enjoy engaging with in the future. I mean, we have some ideas, but we're always open to...
Yeah, we're going to try to figure out exactly what the best move after this is. Because one thing we want to do Pink Eyes, because I have the book for that, and so I can just hand him the book and say, read. I'm going to be getting the book to, what's it called? Make Love, Not War. Captain Horse's dual anthology of fan fictions, which are supposed to be kind of parodies. Pseudo parodies. I never read them, which is funny because I'm buying them and I've never read them. But, if I'm going to own all the books, I might as well just go ahead and buy them. And they're cheap.
The collection must be complete.
And so we have that. We have Guys of Chaos I want him to read, because if he likes the main story, he'll like Guys of Chaos. It's like I said, it's a little more two-dimensional. It's a little more not watered down. It's a little more concentrated. It's shorter, but it still has a lot of the same hit points, and it's very enjoyable. I enjoyed it greatly.
Yeah.
And we were going to watch the movie. I mean, we are going to watch the movie eventually. But he wanted to wait until after the story we finished.
When you talked about the movie, we talked about watching select episodes of the show.
Yeah.
So
and watching that. But he wants to wait until till we finish with this because he still wants to come across it as somebody who isn't a brony and seeing what that's like and not having any real connection to the show.
Yeah.
Because if you watch the episodes, no, you're not a brony, but you do have a connection to the show.
I can already see this happening. I can already see us being done with the book and me saying, yeah, I really enjoyed that, and saying I'm not a brony, and people saying, but you enjoyed it, so you're a brony. And I see
But I enjoyed it, Robert.
I see this duality coming.
Let's see. Hope to have mine finished when you're done with this. Yeah, guys, was amazing. And Snow author is super cool guy. Yeah, I've talked to him a little bit. Not very much. I've talked to a few people. I just never really talked to them a lot.
It's hard to imagine you talking to anybody.
I know, right? Like I spoke a little bit with Roms, who runs some stuff, and Zimming, who's a cool guy. Zimming is the guy who's pretty much heads up the book printing. So I don't exactly know what their staff looks like, whether it's literally
Probably
just
a lot
him.
like this guy.
No, I don't mean. Or whether or not it's just a couple people, or whether or not he has like
it's just him
15 Argentinian slaves.
It's just him in a basement.
Hey, he's just got some,
It's actually a bunch of Thailand lady boys working the presses.
he's got 25 Lithuanians chained up in the basement. Print harder.
He's got 25 Lithuanians chained up in the basement, and he runs a printing business.
Oh no, those are for something else. Too Many Pinkies is a bit of a controversial episode. Yeah, I mean it is.
Too edgy for TV.
Well, the topically, it's very simple, very obvious, and it's very cut and dry. But if you start thinking about it for a little longer than 7 seconds, you start having some serious doubts about what the hell's going on. It's one of those ones where the deeper you tread, the
Our
more
name
terrifying.
is Pinkie Pie, and we are here to say.
I'm not going to explain what the story's about, but believe me, it can be dark. However, let it be known the mirror pool reflects you in your entirety. I don't know what it does consciousness. So technically, I think you'd be running into the same problem they ran into Star Trek. But so there's that. Yeah, great time, have fun. Was great. And
Stay out of trouble. Don't get arrested. And if you do get arrested, don't tell them about us.
Don't be a narc.
Yeah, fucking narky pants. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all next week.